Hey guys, Lord here, back with the new Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak video. In today's video, we're going to go over the release day patch notes, which were released by Capcom today, and they're going to be coming to the Switch on June 29th and to Steam on June 30th. I don't want to cover everything. What I'm interested in today is the weapon balance changes, so let's go ahead and get right into it. Again, slight spoiler warning, but really it's just balance changes, so it shouldn't be too bad. If you're interested in looking at these for yourself, I will include this link down in the description below. Let's go ahead and get into it. So we just scroll down here to bug fixes and balance adjustments, and it's under player. So starting off here, number one, with the greatsword, generally it just looks like some all-around good attack and mostly elemental increases to most of the attacks here. The elemental and status scaling aren't too big of a deal, since greatsword is a much slower weapon and takes a while to proc statuses anyway. The only thing I see this impacting in a major way are speedruns with sleep greatswords to get that extra wake-up damage. You get some more combo stuff down here, and some general bug fixes. Now moving on to longsword. So to me, it looks like pretty much everything was slightly buffed. However, the EI counter here, the Spirit Reckoning, the plunging thrust, and the Spirit Aura level gauges and the Soaring Kick into Helmbreaker all have been decreased a decent amount. If you played the demo, you already know that the eye counter has been dropped to almost half of its old motion value, and I think this is mostly to encourage hunters to utilize the new moves and counters that are coming with Sunbreak, and not to just spam eye counters into Helmbreakers. All in all, I say it's a pretty average change, and you're definitely going to have to take some time to get used to all the new combos in Sunbreak. Moving on then to Sword and Shield. All the moves listed here have had their attack powers increased, and the Windmill Silkbind has had its sharpness consumption reduced, which I think is a good change. I think the SNS buffs here are pretty good. It was in a decent spot in base rise, so a slight power creep is good to help keep up with all the new moves that the other weapons are getting. Moving on to dual blades. Just a few hits in some of your demon combos and dance combos have been increased. First spin, second spin, 10th, 11th, and 12th hit. So not a lot of buff here. Your Archdemon mode elemental scaling has been increased, which is going to be pretty good for when you're not in actual demon mode. Demon mode and feral demon mode have made it easier to fill the gauge for Archdemon mode. Just some small quality of life changes that are going to make dual blades a little bit better in Sunbreak. Moving on to Lance, lots of attack increases for most of the moves. Elemental and status increases as well. Again, just like greatsword, it's probably not too big of a deal since Lance just isn't as quick as dual blades or bow for proccing status. However, it looks like a nice improvement overall. Longer window for your insta-block, and a little bit more you can combo out of it after performing that. The Twin Vine only costs 1 wire bug, which is a nice change. It's just a solid buff for the Silkbind overall. Anchor Rage effects last longer and get a good buff in general. And some guard dash bugs that were fixed. Good moves for the Lance, I like these changes. Again, it's probably not going to be the craziest weapon for damage, but it'll still be alright and should feel really good in Sunbreak. Moving on now to Gunlance, buffs for all shelling types at levels 4 and 5. Strange change, don't really know what that'll do. The Wire Bug recovers more quickly on Hail Cutter, and the Wyvern Fire cooldown reduction has been increased. That's a pretty good change, nothing too crazy. And then just some general bug changes. Really not a lot happening here, so I'll be interested to see what the new Silkbinds bring to Gunlance's kit in Sunbreak. Up next we've got Hammer. Again, as is the theme, most of the moves here seem to be getting an attack power increase. We also get some stun value increases, which should be good since Master Rank monsters are tankier and are a little bit harder to stun, so that should be good. Some status increases, again, not super prominent as it's a primarily raw-based weapon anyway. Looks like we're getting some good changes to Impact Crater down here, some bug fixes, some new combos out of the Side Smash or Water Strike, as well as a shortened charge time for the charge switch to Courage. So all in all, some decent changes. Probably won't impact the way Hammer feels too much, and should be pretty similar to base Rise, aside from the new Silkbinds. From there we go on to Hunting Horn, lots of attack increases here. Some stun increase as well, which again will be nice for those tankier Master Rank monsters. Some of the combos have been shifted around on controller here and on mouse and keyboard here, if you want to check those out for yourself. Again, link in the description to these patch notes. Changed some resistances for the Blight Negated Melody effect, the Beat of Resonance has had an increased size, and the effective range and visual range of Infernal Melody has been matched up more accurately. Good changes, the added stun values and attack buff should keep Hunting Horn in a decent spot in Master Rank. From there we move on to the Switch Axe, which we are getting a lot of power increases here, as well as some part damage increases. Big Wild Swing buff, as attack power now increases according to the number of attacks. And since you can pretty much do this infinitely until you run out of stamina, that's going to be pretty strong for any knocked down monster. Heavy Slam has reduced the number of Wild Swings required in order to combo into the Heavy Slam, and Park Break and Flinch multipliers have been added to buff the effects from Heavy Slam. Just generally good here. The damage reaction from the Compressed Finishing Discharge has been changed. Rising Slash has a bigger range, and some general bug fixes. The new Silk Binds in Sunbreak for the Switch Axe do look super good, so I would definitely keep an eye on this weapon. If you haven't played it much, I would definitely give it a try in Sunbreak. I think it'll be right up there with some of the best weapons in the game. From there we go down to Charge Blade, which has had a huge change. I don't even care about these increases. This right here, baby, is what we're here for. On your Ultra Element Discharge, or your SAED, whatever you want to call it, the height of the file's explosion hit detection has been increased. Finally, no more throwing down an SAED and totally whiffing on like a Rathalos because he was standing up. This should lead to way less missed files, and this is basically the best improvement that Charge Blade could have gotten. This alone will make Charge Blade feel 100 times better than in Base Rise. Some other notable changes is that Sword Boost mode now lasts longer. Not super game changing. You also get a lot of better combo changes here just to kind of ease the ability of switching in and out of combos. All in all, this is huge for Charge Blade and will make it a much more viable weapon in Sunbreak. Again, I can't emphasize enough how nice that this is going to be. For all my Charge Blade homies that stuck it out, prepare yourselves. Alright, moving on to the one I'm really the most excited for is Insect Glaive. We got a lot of attacks that are getting attack power increase, but here is the kicker. You are now impervious to damage while using Recall Kinsect, Kinsect Recall, and Kinsect Harvest Extract when you have a yellow extract absorbed. This is a massive change, as being completely impervious to damage, not just having hyper armor and being able to not flinch through anything, but completely impervious to damage. Coupled with the new Powder Vortex move, there's going to be a link to a video on that in the top right, as well as down in the description below if you want to check that out. Insect Glaive could be way up there as far as usability, comfort, and strength of a weapon goes. There's a lot of buffs to the Kinsects that follow in here. Again, if you want to read those, link in the description to these patch notes. This is going to be great for the new Powder Vortex move, as well as just Kinsects in general. Definitely give Insect Glaive a try in Sunbreak. I'm going to probably do my first playthrough solely on Insect Glaive, just to try out all the new moves and buffs that it has. Moving on to one of the more important changes with Light Bowgun. This also applies to Heavy Bowgun. Lots of weird buffs and nerfs. Normal 1 and 2, Pierce 3, Shrapnel, and Spread 1 were all buffed. Again, Shrapnel 1, pretty useless, Spread 1, pretty useless, Normal 1, pretty useless. Normal 2 and Pierce 3 are the only ones that will probably really be affected. Now comes into the really important part that a lot of people are going to be sad about. Sticky ammos 2 and 3 have been decreased, the stun values have been decreased, and the recoil has been increased. I'll be really interested to see how the sticky cheese is in Sunbreak. RIP Angbada, my heart goes out to you, bro. Cluster 3s have been decreased in attack, and Slicing Ammo has had its attack decreased, its recoil increased, but also its part break endurance multiplier has been increased. Some weird changes, I think, to just kind of cut down on how much people used this right here. Some Silkbind changes. Nothing too game-changing here. For heavy bowgun, again, it's the same changes to ammos here. However, charge shots have been buffed, which could help shake up the playstyle a little bit, as charge shots weren't really that good. You'd kind of use it like maybe if the monster moved its head and you knew it was going to bring it back or something like that. This may add some incentive, especially with the elemental increase, to utilize that a bit more frequently throughout a hunt. The following adjustment was made to Mech Wyvern Snipe and the Healing Wyvern Snipe. Everything has been increased in attack power, and the Healing Mech Wyvern Snipe recovers more quickly. The Countercharger skill, the Wire Bug Gauge, recovers more quickly. Spread 3 looks relatively untouched, just spread 1 with a slight buff, so I'll be super interested to try out some shotgun sets, so keep your eyes out on the channel for that once Sunbreak drops. And last but not least, we move into Bow. All the melee attacks were buffed, which does basically nothing since they're almost useless anyway. Charge shots have lost some attack power, but their elemental scaling has been increased. So it looks like we're going to go through a sort of transition period into fully utilizing elemental bows. Raw bow could still be fun, but stuff like the Chameleos bow from Base Rise will probably be a thing of the past and will be heavily outdamaged by elemental bows. Next, all coatings have received pretty decent buffs. This is a sizable buff to bow. Focus Shot, Silk Bind, recover stamina even quicker, and then just some other general bug fixes. All in all, some huge buffs for elemental bow especially. I think that bow will be a very high tier, if not the best weapon in Sunbreak, so definitely stick around and give this one a try once the full game releases. Alright guys, that's all 14 weapons, so I want you to comment down below what change you're most excited for. I know I'm definitely looking forward to that Charge Blade file change, but what stood out most to you? That's all I have for this one, guys. If you found this helpful, don't forget to leave a like down below and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Thanks so much for watching, and happy hunting.